Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sherwood Shakeup. I'm your host, Matt Weinglass, and I'll be with you here for the next hour. We have some very exciting things happening right now in the Sherwood community. We're also very excited about our special guest I'll be introducing momentarily. First, I just wanted to throw out to you guys, if you're new on the channel and you're watching this live or you're watching this after the fact, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a comment or a like, and hit the bell icon too so you can get notified when we're on live again. We're going to be on live every Tuesday. We've been on every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific for the Sherwood Shakeup. We have a couple more great episodes in store for the next couple weeks as well. But for today, again, I'm very excited about our special guest. I'll be introducing him momentarily. I just wanted to debrief a little bit about last week's episode, where we did a very special memory, remembering of our friend Ed Asner. It was an exceptional show. We had some amazing people on with us that we were able to hear some old stories and some really heartwarming moments that came that were so people like Randy Turo, one of our producer partners, our writing partner, Troy Alexander. He was on from Texas as well. If you guys haven't seen the episode, please, after this, take a look at it. It's episode 9 of the Sherwood Shakeup. It was incredible. And we were also able to introduce our new project to everyone called Confessions of a Union Buster, which we will we're in development officially right now for the film. It's based on a true story of a union buster who worked to destroy unions during the 80s. Ed Asner was part of this project back in the 90s, and they were pitching it to HBO. Long story short, they weren't able to get it done back then, and now we have an opportunity. We have the rights to the project, and we have an opportunity to get this thing done as a feature. And Ed Asner was on as a executive producer. He still is, but now that he has passed, we are going to be doing this project for him, on behalf of him, and more on that later. You can go to our website to check out all the stuff we have going on sherwoodplayers.com. We have a ton of activities for the community, ways you guys can get involved, and announcements for upcoming live in-person events, including our director's course and the Spectrum Workshop Series. We also have a film festival in the works as well that we are open right now for submissions, and you can find that also on our website, sherwoodplayers.com. Later in the show, we're going to be having our co-director of the film festival come on, Steve Brock. He'll be coming on and telling us a little bit more about that and some of the other stuff going on in the community right now. One more thing. And you guys have noticed I have this I voted sticker on. Today is voting day in California. I just wanted to show my support for getting out there and voting. This Sherwood Players is not a political group, but I do recommend you guys, stay informed, stay engaged, always get out and vote, always make yourself known, your presence known. And again, this is not a political group, so I won't tell you who or what to vote for, but I will tell you this, that one of our Sherwood Players partners, Patrick Kilpatrick, is on the ballot and is running for governor. And I fully support his effort. Again, not a direct endorsement. Again, do what you feel is right. But please, I urge you all to be engaged in the system. Go out and show your support. And we hope Patrick Kilpatrick does very well today. With that said, let's switch gears now. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in our very special guest with us today. He's a friend of mine, an actor, writer, producer, and director. I've worked with him on a film. We're going to talk about that and some of the other stuff he has going on as we're going to talk about multitasking in Hollywood. Please welcome to the show, Gregory Blair.
Hi, hello, Gregory.
Everybody. Great to have you. Thanks for being on the show with us today, Gregory.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I was really excited about having you on here because a lot of the stuff that we have been covering on the show and in the community. As you know, you've been part of our community for the last several years, but specifically on the show, we're talking about entrepreneuring as an artist in the industry. What comes up a lot is multitasking and wearing different hats. And we've been having this discussion, and I thought, who better to come in than a guy that's been doing it all and demonstrating it time after time, that he's, I guess what we call it a quadruple threat when you're doing all four of these things, Gregory: actor, writer, producer, director.
I think some people just call it crazy.
They call it crazy. that has a better ring. That's a more fun ring to it. But either way you call it, either way you go with it, it is quite to undertake so many things at once. And I'd like to get into some of those elements of how you're able to juggle those things. But first, why don't you tell the audience right now how exactly did you even get involved in the industry from it to start with? What was your calling card, or how did you get engaged in the industry?
I think it was kind of in my blood to be involved in the arts. I think I kind of came out of the womb an actor. I think the doctor was like, what do you mean, where's your spotlight? I don't understand. So I was always involved in some way in acting, however I could. And then writing sort of began. This is way before I knew 100% what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do these things. And then I got involved in theater, and then much later got involved in film. I mean, I was making films as a little kid. I mean, I had a camera and I ran around with, whatever neighbors I could. Here, do this, do that, and made films. So I guess in a way I was writing and directing and acting as all along. But I don't know that I had cemented that as a reality of something that I could actually do all of those things. I was just going to act. Even though I liked to write, that was just something I was also doing. And then, I just kept doing it. Eventually, got from doing mostly theater to getting into film work, which is really, everybody gets in a different way. I mean, I started pretty much pushing myself as an actor. So I think my first jobs were actor roles,
right?
But I was also writing, and so I got an agent, and so then that started burgeoning, and I started doing more of that. And then somewhere along the line, after doing a lot of that, I was actually having a conversation with Roxy Shih, who is a producer, director, musician. I don't know what she can't do. She's an amazing woman. And I was talking about this script that I wanted to do. And by that time I had hooked up with Bill Owers Jr., a great actor. And I interested him in this particular piece, this script that became Deadly Revisions. And I mentioned it to Roxy, and she said, "Let's do it." I was like, okay, what does that mean exactly? She goes, I'll help produce and you'll direct. And I was like, whoa, I haven't done any of that. But if you're going to do it, you have to do your first time. That's the only way to do it. So we did. And that's the story of how Deadly Revisions happened. So that was my first film director role, and also my first film producer role as well. And since then, the two of us together also did Garden Party Massacre. And then I've had other scripts produced by other companies and other projects. And I have done some producing on the side as well for other projects. And I've directed some short films on my own and produced on my own. And I don't know, you just start doing it.
You just start doing it.
That's the short answer.
That's the short answer. You just actually do it. You just dive in and do it. And I want to stress this because I can back that up personally, because I think we had actually almost a similar kind of coming into our own, because I started as just an actor. And I think it wasn't like, it's not like other industries out there where you say, oh, I'm going to get into, economics. I'm going to get into, psychology. Let me take some classes. Let me get a degree. I mean, I studied as an actor, went to study as a Bachelor of Fine Arts program in Santa Barbara and was serious about it. But when that directing bug came, it wasn't like, so like what you're saying is you just dove in and did it. You didn't say, let me study the art of it. Let me study the theory of it. Let me
not at all
really just build my way before I'm ready to take on this job. No, you just dove in.
Yeah, well, and I think that there's no right way to do it. I think going to school, a legit school, for example, or simply learning by watching films and watching the extras now you can see on like DVDs and whatever, and YouTube videos. You can learn so much. I think that's probably the smarter way to do it than just jump in like I did. But I think I maybe through osmosis picked up a lot of that sort of stuff anyway. So it didn't feel like it was that hard to do because I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And maybe it's because I was doing it when I was a little kid, although not with any great skill or art. But, and just being kind of a cineast, loving movies so much and watching them so much. And, ooh, I like how they did that shot. And, ooh, look at the lighting. And, the kinds of things that most people don't really pay that much attention to. They notice it, but they don't like. I'm like sometimes I start watching films that like nobody knows, but the way they're filmed, they teach me things when I watch these kinds of films. I love that kind of film. And so, there's more than one way to get into it. Diving in is a way. I don't know that I necessarily recommend it for everyone, but you find your own way.
You find your own way. I have to say though, I have heard on the opposite side of it. Again, I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with taking classes and stuff. We actually offer a director's course at Sherwood Players, so I don't want to say anything bad about taking a class, of course, because that's working against our interests, because we would like to teach and share and educate and give people all sorts of opportunities of how to take in information and learn. But we always stress in the class, hands-on, get it going. Don't just study it in a book. And another, I guess, tragic story I've heard a lot in this town. I've heard of people that think that the way to get to that place that you talk about right away, you and Roxy getting together and saying, let's tell this story. You direct, you produce, let's do it. People take that real safe way. Sometimes they think, oh, I'll just get a job on set and I'll be a PA and then I'll work my way up. I'll be a location scout, then maybe I can even get into producing a little, co-producing, even if you get up to that level. But if I really want to direct, maybe the director will give me a second AD job, and then I'll move up to first AD, and then I'll move up. Well, all that kind of works up until what happens? You see people get up to that first AD job, and then that's about it.
I think, because in some businesses, there is a very clear, specific ladder, and you have to make each hurdle before you can get to the next job. You can't be, a CEO until you've been a VP, and then you can't be a VP until you've been a CFO, and then you can't be, there's this in entertainment. The entertainment industry, it doesn't always work like that. It can, and I think if you decide to go that route, you will still learn a lot of stuff, and you will be surrounded by people who are doing the thing you want to do. And so you'll be networking without even trying. It's because you're there and you need to communicate with these people. You're not like going to a cocktail party and pretending here's my card, that dumb stuff. You're actually there for a reason and you need to work with these people. And so you're working with them. And so I think it's another avenue that can work. I don't think you can depend on anything Really, in the entertainment industry, everything can be a surprise. Anything can happen. Even in the biggest pictures and the biggest studios and the biggest stars, things happen all of a sudden. And it's like, oh, nobody expected that. Nobody saw that coming. So, I say, find your way. And if your way is working for you, great. And if it isn't, then find another way.
That is very well put, Gregory. I love that. So let's do this. I like to switch gears to what you mentioned it earlier, Garden Party Massacre, because I personally am interested in this story because this is where you and I met, was when you were in pre-production for this film, putting the pieces together, and then I don't know if you want to tell the story about how we met up to do this film. Me as an actor, just an actor, of course, and you, the brains behind the whole operation.
Well, I remember when I was looking for the role that you ended up filling, I originally had some ideas for who I wanted to have play the role. But once I had cast my main characters, I kind of thought about it, and I noticed that we were all kind of on the shorter side. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, the automatic knee-jerk comic response to that is the killer has to be really, really tall. So I and some of the other people that were working with me, I said, let's hunt for tall people who look like they could play a killer, and who, have the credits and the resume and the skill and all that stuff. And well, there Matt was. And so that's kind of how it happened. And I was like, you're 6 foot what? Awesome.
6'7" to be exact. But I do remember, I can totally remember when we first met up on, I believe it was a cafe out in like La Brea, in Santa Monica Boulevard area, and we sat down and you showed me your whole concept, and I just loved it. And I loved your vision, your strong vision, because every director has to have a strong vision. You can't just go through the motions, right? You have to have something you really visualize and see. And as an actor, I feel comfortable when my director says, this is how I see this thing, and then I can trust you and know that you can guide me through it. And little did you know, I was also a director you didn't, because we were just meeting. And that's, as an actor / director, producer, writer myself, I was able to extra appreciate what you were doing when I found out you were acting in the movie too. And I completely was like, yeah, this guy's the shit right here. This guy, because you calculated where you would be most beneficial to this. You weren't just writing yourself a role for the sake of it. You knew that you could bring something to the role, and you knew you could handle the directing responsibilities and the guy who crafted the script. And you went through each process very meticulously. And I appreciate it. And I watched that from a distance. I wanted you to know that I saw that whole thing going down as it was happening. I was very, very impressed.
Well, I mean, I'm glad many people, I have heard this before, is that people will say to me, I'm so impressed that you knew what you were doing. And I'm always like, did I? So I don't know. I think that, it's funny you mentioned who I was playing, because when I wrote the script, I didn't, whenever I write a script, I never think of actors. Almost never. Which
is a great thing, because you're thinking
because
of
it limits you. It limits you, and you want to be true to the character. Let the character become whatever the character becomes, and not do that. So once it was done, then I started thinking, who could play this? Who do I know who could play this? Who do I know? And as it all got put together, because I thought, I could play any of these characters, really. I mean, of the guys, they were all like, I liked them all. I would have been happy with. So I just waited to see how the pieces fell. And that's how I ended up in the role I ended up with, because I found actors that I decided I wanted to use for the other roles. So it was almost a de facto thing in a way. But,
let's do this, because I have the trailer for Garden Party Massacre here. that I have to say was when I first saw this thing, I was like, yeah, this thing's gonna get around. Let's bring this up. I want to show the audience the trailer, and then let's discuss. I want to get into after post production and what the process was at that point for you doing all these jobs. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Give me 1 second.
I brought fruitcake.
Yes, you did. Between her fruitcake and her outfit, I wasn't sure if it was Christmas or Halloween.
So, Link, you more of a pitcher or a catcher?
I'm a shortstop.
I was married once, but he died.
Suicide?
Wes and I are vegetarian.
You don't eat meat?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
No need to be shy now, Linky Dink. I know what men like.
Pizza and beer?
She's out of control.
Which one?
I need a drink.
Oh, hell yes.
I'm cutting Melanie's fruitcake, you're cutting your red velvet cake, and we're all having a goddamn wonderful time.
Oh my god. What the hell was that?
What did he do to Melanie? Where did he get a pickaxe in suburbia?
Here we go! Wow! Kitty party! I need a drink! Get some cake! Whatever! Wanna go to a garden party with me? Wanna go to a garden party? Let's go!
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Awesome. Very cool. That says so much. That trailer says so much because we're talking about a couple genres that you're merging together. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about next, Gregory, is that this idea that you have this it's a parody of a horror movie, but you're combining horror and comedy, and there's an actual market for that, which I had no idea at the time. And I'm just so impressed what you were able to do with this thing. That there's a huge following for this type of film, and you were able to get it all over the entire film festival circuit, and you picked up how many awards? Can you tell us? Because I'm still I'm baffled when I think about all the different awards and this thing got across the board.
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I was thinking I could look this up online somewhere. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that, but we did win some best feature. And I think what I like is that everybody got recognized. We had best feature. We won best screenplay a couple of times. I got best director. The cast won best ensemble. I think Donna I think you got an award, a supporting actor. So, I mean, the awards were really spread out, which I like because any film, that literally takes a village. That's the cliche, and it's true. So it was nice to see everyone in the village getting recognized. When you're making a tiny little indie film, it's like, I don't want to say it's thankless work, but I mean, nobody really knows unless you make indie film. Nobody knows how hard it is and how much work it is. So I was thrilled that everybody got recognized. So
it seems like they did. And I just checked IMDb, and apparently Garden Party Massacre has won 18 awards with an additional 4 nominations. So,
okay, there you go, 18.
congratulations, Gregory. Seriously. And everybody that was part of that, like you said, it takes a village, and everybody getting recognized. It's something they can take with them, for for their careers. So you've done those type of things for people, and they will remember that. And we have to know that as producers, as directors, writers, is that we're providing, when we hit something on the head, when we hit a nail on the head and score with something, we're not just the only one celebrating the win. Everybody part of that team is celebrating the win too. And we take that with us through our careers, and we run into each other again and we say, hey, that's right, we did that thing and it won those awards, and that was your script, and that was your direction, and oh my God. And so like we have to know that we're not just working our asses off for ourselves. We're doing it for the team and for all of our benefits as we all progress and keep moving up through this crazy, thing we call the industry. We're all in it together in a sense.
Well, we are. I mean, it's in every sense, because you can't, I don't think, there may be exceptions, but I don't think you can't make a movie by yourself unless you are making an animated film and it's all you animating it and everything. Otherwise, every other film that has real people in it, it's taking a little village, and so you're all working together and you're all trying to make the best film that you can under whatever circumstances you're making it and whatever budget you have and whatever comes your way. I was just talking about Beast of the Field is coming out on VOD. We filmed that in a hurricane. So, I mean, it's a miracle that movie ever got put together. Because I remember the first day we were out in the woods, it poured so hard, we all had to just get in our cars and shelter. So, and it was a killing. It killed a lot of that day's shoot. And, people had flown in from out of town, including me, because we filmed it in Kentucky. And so there was a hard out, because we had planes to catch, and, on an indie budget, you can't pay, to have the flights rearranged and blah, blah, blah. So, these are the kinds of things you struggle with. But everybody, like on that film, everybody's struggling together, and we're all trying to get whatever we can. Okay, we're going to have to cut that scene. Okay, we're going to have to do this. Okay, I'm rewriting this scene, so you need to say these 2 lines instead of those 5 pages. And everybody works together to make it happen. I think the idea is we all rise together. So we're all a team every time.
Exactly. Well said. I'm going to ask you more about Deadly Revisions in a second here, but I had a couple comments we have here from Leslie. She says, very cool. I really enjoyed Garden Party Massacre. Keep them coming. So she saw the full film. Thank you, Leslie. And then from TJ Alex, all I really want to do is write and produce. LOL. Of course.
Why not?
As you are, my friend. And you guys should talk. Oh, he says, TJ Alex says, you guys should talk about the task of raising funds for the project. Absolutely. We're going to get to that in a second. And then another one from Leslie. I love the little idiosyncrasies of the characters. That's the trailer for Garden Party Massacre. Very cool. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I want to, let's talk about that, because I want to get back to Deadly Revision, since that was the first one, and you have a brand new trailer for that one. That's exciting, because you're going back to the vault and you're doing something new to it. So let's get to that in a moment. But I do want to talk about this the fundraising, or the money, because earlier in our discussion, you were saying that you and Roxy got together and you said, I'm going to produce, you're going to direct, and you have a great script. You're ready to cast, ready to shoot, but we skipped one critical part. Where the hell do you get the money from?
And the answer is anywhere you can. But and I'm not kidding. when you read, gosh, is it Christine Vachon? It's called Shoot to Kill. It's really, really old, and I'm sure some of it's outdated, but it's a great book. She talks about how you have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, because anything can happen and something will, blah, blah, blah. And that's not just about when you're in production. like, oh, we're having a hurricane, that stuff, or, oh, the camera died, which happened on the revisions. But even beforehand with funding, you get some funding and then it falls through. You get an investor and then it falls through. You get a whatever, so all the time. Maybe you're crowdfunding on I think it's Kickstarter, and you don't make enough, and so you get nothing. I mean, it's always
lesson learned. Don't do Kickstarter. Do Indiegogo, where you get to keep a little bit.
Yeah, or if you're gonna do Kickstarter, there are like ways to do that and be more successful. If your budget is it's a whole big combination of things. I'm not going to even pretend for a moment that I am the crowdfunding expert, but it has to do with how many contacts do you have and how many of them are actively interested in helping you fundraise, because it's all about that reach. That's what crowdfunding is about. So Kickstarter would be something where know how much you think you can get out of your network before even doing it. That I would say that for any platform, no matter what crowdfunding platform, have a sense of not what your movie costs, but what you think you can actually get. Try to be realistic from that standpoint.
Because then you could actually pull from different sources, like you say. So like if your budget is a certain level, let's say you've budgeted $500,000 film. That if you go on a certain crowdfunding website, you're not going to make $500,000 from it.
Right.
But maybe you can make a goal of 100,000 and say, okay, we're 1/5 there. If we put all of our resources into this and we say we're gonna hit our goal of 100,000, you're talking to another couple of investors, or you're going somewhere else and you're saying, exactly, where else can I pull from? And I'm sure you're doing multitasking with fundraising and investing.
Sure, that, as well as if you get that first 100,000 or whatever that dollar amount is, maybe you can use that to get a letter of intent from a name actor or actress who then will excite and entice other investors, or maybe in a second crowdfunding. I'm not that big on doing that many crowdfunding things, but that would be an example of something you could do. I prefer going after other investors or something else. But so each little bit helps. So yeah, and if it's your very first film and you haven't hit up, mom and dad and your rich uncle, and do that too. There's no, like I said, there's no right way to do it. There's the traditional way, but we're all, I think, realizing that there are new avenues every day for doing literally everything, including raising funds for your films. It's all about creativity.
Would you ever, Gregory, recommend going into production if you don't have your full budget set yet, or you don't have it in the account?
People do that. And so you're asking if I would recommend it? Would I recommend it? I would recommend it only if you feel really confident that you will be able to get those funds, because there's nothing worse than everybody killing themselves to make a movie and then it never happens. That hurts.
I would say this, and I guess it really depends on the level of what your goal is. Like if your goal is 50,000 and you can make your entire feature for $50,000, you have 25,000 in the bank. There's ways you can stretch 25,000 and say, we can actually get through production and all of the marketing costs, all of the post-production costs, everything else. We're going to figure this out. We have doors to knock on, but we know we can get this in the can now. Maybe we should go shoot and get this in the can.
Yes, and people do that, and then they'll start reaching out for what they call finishing funds. You've probably seen that on crowdfunding. We need finishing funds, blah blah blah. So yes, that you can do that. Would I do that? Probably not. I want to know I can get my movie made, and I want to know I can get it shot. I want to know I'm going to have enough money in my budget to market it. to do whatever I need to do to be able to afford to make the DCP if I need that, to be able to afford the blah, 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 all the festival entrance fees, all that stuff. I would rather know ahead of time that I've got the budget to do a film. I think maybe that's partly why, but there are many reasons, but that's one reason why I don't make film after film after film after film after film as a director producer. As an actor, sure. But I make a movie and then I need some years. And then I make a movie and then I need some years. Right. Maybe if my only hat was producer, that might be different. Right. But because I wear all these hats and I'm doing all these different things, it's so much energy to do each of those things. I mean, if you're going to produce, there's the fundraising, there's the logistics, that's sort of the organizational stuff of how do we get people to set? Who do we have to fly in? What hotels? Do we need car service to get them onto set each day? All that stuff. Then there's all the administrative stuff, the contracts and the deal memos and the insurance and the permits and the producers got a ton of things to do. And if you're the only producer and you have to do all that, that can be a full-time job. That's why I've always had a co-producer. We've split those duties. Some, the bigger the film, you'll see a list of producers. There are so many because they even divide up the different elements of funding or the different elements of the logistics. So, I mean,
it's really about putting that team together.
Yeah.
First and foremost, right? Because you have to have each of those jobs that as the creator, the director, the visionary, this thing is going to be a monster to take on. You have to have people you trust in those key roles.
Yes.
Even if people are wearing multiple hats, but you can trust somebody wearing multiple hats, and you have that trust that already established. You're going to need that going in, especially if you have a small group, right? You have to.
Yeah, your key crew is the word key has more than one meaning.
Right. Cool. So I think I'm excited about this because Deadly Revisions, as we said earlier, you have a brand new trailer for this. So you basically brought it out of the vault and what are you doing? You're packaging and marketing. What's your goal here?
Well, it's going to be our 10-year anniversary. It's stunning to me. So we're going to do, I'm working on a brand new cut that is going to, it's going to be, I think it will be, for me, my definitive cut.
Wow. Okay.
There were always things I wanted to change once the film was completed. Here's a great example and lesson learned from a first-time director. Don't do what I did. I've always kind of rolled my eyes at what I call Hollywood lighting. If you watch any TV show, any movie, and if a character is alone in the forest in the dark, somehow there's light on their face over here and light on their face over here. And there's all this beautiful light and fog in the background. You can see all the trees. It looks fabulous. But where the hell are those lights coming from? He's in the dark in the woods. There'd be nothing but the moon above.
That's all you have is the moon.
Place. That's it.
I was just talking to my girlfriend. We were just having Leslie and I were just having a discussion about this. I think she pointed it out. We were watching something. She's like, where's that light coming from? So she's seeing it too. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not.
And it's because it looks beautiful, and B, it lights your characters better so that the audience can see them better. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
So in Deadly Revisions, I wanted to try to light it in such a way that it always looked basically like there was a full moon spilling light, and that's it. I didn't want it to look, I wanted it to look real.
Right.
Anyway, and so on the big screen in a movie theater, lesson learned here, with a projector that has a fresh bulb, the film looked amazing. Under almost every other circumstance, it was too dark for people to see. People watching it on their little laptop were like, I can't see that. Some people watch it on their phone. I'm like, don't watch a movie on your phone, please. But whatever, so one of the things I'm doing with this cut is I'm just lightening it all. It'll still not look like there's 8 lights all around them, but I'm boosting up the brightness a bit because people do watch movies on their laptops. You have to make a movie knowing that nowadays. 10 years ago, I thought more people would just go to the movies.
Yeah.
But like with COVID, nobody went to the movies. So, I mean, we've learned that, you need to make your movie so that it can be 100% enjoyable on a tiny screen.
That's excellent advice to any filmmaker, especially new filmmakers, or any filmmaker really needs to heed the advice. So I'd like to bring this up right now. First, let me change the graphic here. Oh, there we go. Sherwood Players Live. Yes. Okay. And then,
thank goodness. Now I know where I am.
I have to let people know. This is the Sherwood Shakeup, episode 10. Oh, you're having your 10-year anniversary on Deadly Revisions. We're having our 10th episode celebration at the same time. So I was just playing. Okay, let's bring this up right now. Give me 1 second.
What happened to me?
You've been in a coma, I'm afraid.
I really appreciate Cedar.
Hey, no problem, man. I never use the place.
My name is Allie Morris. I'm an amnesia specialist. What's the first thing you remember before the fall?
I have to write. That's my therapy. Just thinking, if this weren't actually happening to me, I'd make a pretty good movie.
What would?
My dreams. My past mixed with my movies. She got a writer. All alone. In a cabin. Haunted by his own past.
What are you afraid of, Mr. Torn?
I've been unmuted.
You've been unmuted. Let's get you back up with me here. Wow, that looks excellent. I just, when I watched it, I was like, I can't believe this is that's a first-time director. That's you, first time producer and director and writer, right there. Excellent.
Yeah. Don't do that at home. No,
don't do that. No, please, no. Do it at home. This is
really do it at home.
Do it at home. And if you fall on your face and you're still inspired to try again, try again. And if you fall on your face again, try again. If you lose that inspiration and you don't feel like doing it anymore, then maybe it was worth a shot and now you go try something else. But how are you going to know that this is not your calling? This is your calling without just diving in and doing what you did. And clearly it was yours, Gregory.
There's something to learn. Every failure is really just a lesson. And you can grow from that and get better. If you didn't try, you would never learn that lesson. So you would never know. So you're better off even if you fail. Now, the lighting thing, you could call that a fail, for example. But I learned from that. And so that's one of many reasons my Garden Party Massacre entirely takes place in the day, for other reasons as well. But the other thing to remember is failure is a perspective on some level. You're always going to have people say that wasn't good. you failed at this or that. I mean, the biggest pictures, but with the biggest stars, people say, oh, that movie wasn't so good. Oh, that movie stunk. You can't worry about that stuff. You make your thing, and it is what it is. And don't worry so much about it. Nothing's perfect. There is no perfect film. You can't make a perfect film. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Make it.
Just make it. Okay, so we have a few questions I need to get to. I have Scott Migdal. He has. I have a question. 420 and Hollywood. I'm not sure exactly what the question is. Is there a follow-up? I don't know, Scott, but if you have one, please let us know. Otherwise, Gregory, what do you think? 420 in Hollywood?
Is he talking about marijuana?
Well, he might be, but
maybe.
I see. He's saying, where does it come into play in Hollywood? I figured it. Okay, well,
I don't think that it's more prevalent in Hollywood than it is anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. You know, my opinion is, people in any industry, they're gonna utilize. Maybe it can be creative for some people. So maybe as an artist, some artists in any field of art, writing, creating anything. I wouldn't say so much being on a professional set. I haven't seen that as much, but I know that people maybe shut themselves in their room and use, weed to maybe feel inspired at their own safe place at home. And I'm sure that happens. And I think it's a thing, but
some people take it for medicinal reasons, whatever. But usually when you're on set, there's no smoking anyway. So
if anyone pulls that on set, and they somehow get away with us not smelling it, they're still not going to be up to speed, because that's going to slow you down. And we have to be sharp on set. So I would say to everyone out there that's thinking about any sort of being in an altered state on set, I've been on sets where people get called out for that, and you don't see them again, because it's just pretty much impossible to fake, because we are all moving so quickly. We have to be sharp, and we're going to make mistakes anyways. The last thing you want to do is also inebriate yourself in any capacity. How are you going to keep up? Because we are hustling. We have times to make, scenes.
I would say, the only drugs I've ever seen the only drugs on my set are caffeine and sugar.
Or if you're doing a film with drug use in the film, there are very good ways, and I've seen this, very good ways to fake the drug.
It's all fake, yeah.
And then as an actor, you have to bring your personal experience, or if you've studied it or whatever, you can bring that into the role. But that's called acting.
Right.
That's why they pay us the big bucks. So what comes to mind? Oh, James Franco and Seth Rogen in Pineapple Express. There you go. The whole movie. But I hope most of that is acting. I think James Franco mostly. Let's say for him mostly. It was
I have no idea, and I will. I'm just gonna shrug that off.
Shrug it off. Okay. So let's see. We have G Money Hawk says, I hope one day I can join one of your films. That's great. Okay. Well, hopefully, yeah. And here's the thing. Well, we have let's give some how people can get in touch with you, Gregory. What's the way to do that?
Oh boy. Well, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's all at the Gregory Blair.
Okay.
I'm on other things too. I'm sort of blanking out here. I mean, go to my website. That's the best place to go. And that's www.gregoryblair.info. It's like a hub that will give you my IMDb, my anything and everything you ever want to find, probably.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, people can find you there. And then obviously people know they can get in touch with us. All you got to do is go to sherwoodplayers.com, and you can start a chat with us right there in the get in touch with us section at the bottom of the home screen. Okay. So let's see. We have, TJ Alex has another comment. Okay. So Okay, back to the money. Let's see if we can. Okay. So let's say you get the money for the movie and you make the movie. Now, how do you make your money back for your investors? Great question. Tina.
Well, in theory, how it works is you get some sort of distribution for your movie so that it can be in theaters and or on platforms that pay you money. And then once you've made a profit, you start sending that money to your investors. I mean, that's it. You either do self-distribution or you get a traditional distributor, get out on the platforms where your film can be streamed, people can watch it, and then that's how your film makes money. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it's a great. That's one way to do it, but I think mainly is going in. You have to know where your money sources are coming from. So if it is crowdfunding, you have an obligation to the crowdfunding people that donated. You have an obligation to come through with what you've promised them, which is
sure.
Not hard to do if you're just basically saying you get to have a credit in your film, you get to have a signed poster, you get to have all these things. That's easy to do. But I guess if you're talking about actual investors, it does get a little more delicate because they're people who if I'm an investor, I'm not crowdfunding to just help you. I'm looking to make a return. And as filmmakers, we have to be very delicate with that relationship. And there's a number of reasons why. And I say the best reason, and I've seen filmmakers not really care about that. If they get some investor who's like coming in and throws a bunch of money on their film and is like, hey, this looks like a good way I can score some money on returns, and you have a good cast and it looks like this thing can sell. Okay, whatever. And as the filmmaker, like, I don't care. I just want to make my movie. I think it's important that we say, look, if you want to have a long-term relationship with this investor, you better be focusing on things that you can help their interest, not just make your film, but look at things like pre-sales, look at things like, rebates on, where you're shooting. Like you shot Deadly Revisions in Kentucky, right?
No, that was Beast of the Field. Deadly Revisions, we shot in, a couple of different locations, but mostly Los Angeles.
Yeah. So if there's an investor looking for I want to get some money back on this thing, one way to do that is you can find a place. Los Angeles is not the greatest place for this at all. Probably the worst place.
You're thinking like tax rebates and stuff?
Looking for tax rebates. Some of those you get very quickly. You get those immediately back. And that's something that investors like to see. And they're like, oh, you're just immediately giving this back to me like right away before you even shoot. Right. Yeah, we are. So that's something to look at. And then of course, just getting a sales agent and getting a sales company, a distribution company, that's going to help because your investor is going to get a big part of that back, depending on your relationship with them. But just I would just say this: if you're fortunate enough to have an investor that has given you a lot of money for your film, just keep a good relationship with that person. Just let them know that you're thinking about their interests. And what's the results of that? If they make their money back, at least if they break even, they're going to respect you enough to hear your next pitch. If you don't make them that at least a break-even investment, they might not take your next call, and just something to keep in mind. So thinking long-term, right? Although
I will say there are some investors that it's just what they do. They love to help people make movies. And if you're lucky enough to find one of those, hang on to them. Mm-hmm. But yes, I mean, because there's the business relationship, the sort of strict business relationship, and that will probably involve, that's paperwork and lawyers and blah, blah, blah. But then there's the personal relationship. I think that's something to keep in mind because investors are people. Yeah. And so you want to treat them as such. They're not just like a commodity for you to use to make your movie. So keep that in mind. Everybody's a person, and they respond to being treated, like, you use their name, you maybe send them some chocolate or, just whatever. I mean, everybody's got their own way of doing stuff. I don't want to tell you what to do, But I would just say, be the best person you can be at all times.
I love it. Very well said, Gregory. Anybody else who wants to engage with us, you are welcome to come on Clubhouse. If you have the Clubhouse app, we're going to be on there in a few minutes, actually. And you can engage with us directly if you want us to clarify any questions. Just go to the Sherwood Players Room. It's called the Sherwood Players Club, and you're going to look for Power to the Artist. And we're going to be starting up in just a few minutes. But for now, Gregory, thank you so much for being on the show with us. You're fantastic, award-winning filmmaker, like multiple award-winning filmmaker, does it all, multitasking in Hollywood, actor, writer, producer, director. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to your next projects and staying connected. And tell people again where they can find you, or what's the easiest way?
The easiest way is gregoryblair.info, but Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, the Gregory Blair.
Awesome.
So creative.
It was awesome having you on, Gregory. Thanks so much.
Good to be here.
It was great going down memory lane with the Garden Party Massacre and everything. So that was awesome. So, the T-shirt. He wore the T-shirt. Do that again really quick before we say bye. There's all the scared characters as I come in with the knife. They're all lined up. There they are, and you're on the right. That's you on the right. They're
the little dumb blonde one. Yeah,
you're the blonde one, Link, in the red T-shirt. Awesome. Okay, Gregory, take it easy, and thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Hope it helped people.
Absolutely, and we'll see you on Clubhouse in a few minutes, and people can talk directly to us.
My first time, so go easy.
Well, hopefully there'll be some other first timers. We want people to try this out. Clubhouse, you've heard of it. If you haven't, look it up, download the app. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks, Gregory. We'll see you soon. Okay, take care. And that'll wrap up another episode of the Sherwood Shakeup. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have Steve come on with us today. So next week's episode, we will have a full check-in with our team up front before we introduce our next special guest. So next Tuesday, I can announce right now, we're going to have the amazing Hollywood legend, Gigi Perot, will be with us. And we're going to be basically looking at her growing up in Tinseltown story. We're going to hear all about what it was like to grow up through the decades of Hollywood, from her young career as a child actor all the way up until now. So that'll be exciting. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave us a comment on YouTube, and share this with people, because this is I kind of like what we're doing here. This is our very first season. This is only our 10th episode. We're going to do a couple more episodes, and then we might take a little break for a while before we come in with another season. So I recommend if you guys want to watch some of the back episodes, and certainly share this one if you liked it. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, take it easy and keep working hard, all you artists out there. And we'll see you all soon.